Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Qantas podcast. I'm UV Lightman, your host, with Senor Matahari, Joe Mattia. We want to discuss this NPM hack that's been ripping through the web right now. It's so interesting, so exciting. It's a great opportunity to learn about cybersecurity, which is really a critical skill for everybody in the modern world. Whether you like it or not, you need to know about how people can steal your shit through the internet.
It's scary out there. I think a lot of people are really concerned. I'm on crypto Twitter this morning. I woke up, all the major people I follow have posted something saying, hey, watch out. The CTO of Ledger has put a warning saying no transactions today, just basically hold.
So what happened was there was what they call a supply chain attack. So, modern software engineering is in some ways embarrassing because it compared with like other types of engineering, which are like very sturdy and mature and responsible software. It's like everybody's vibe coding and they're just like importing a million packages that they don't really need. No one audited, kind of a disaster waiting to happen. And that's why we get all these hacks. And so this is a great opportunity to look at how the system works. NPM is the package manager for JavaScript. JavaScript is the most popular language. There's, all the websites use it, the browser extensions, your browser wallet uses it, MetaMask, Phantom, lots of desktop apps use it, even mobile apps sometimes use it. This is very widespread, and it was a great target. From an attacker point of view, this was an ideal target because they hacked a specific developer's account and got the right to upload malicious code into the ecosystem, and then everybody's package manager just pulls in the code. For example, one package, Chalk here, 300 million downloads a week.
Wow.
Strip ANSI. And by the way, this is like, these packages are very small and do basically nothing. This is something you could just do yourself, but everyone's lazy.
All right, hold on. So I'm browsing the web and I'm like automatically downloading this package. Is that what's happening?
So when you go to a website, your browser is downloading code that runs on your machine.
Okay.
And it's, it's prepackaged, but when they assemble that code, when the server, the people who deploy the website, when they package that code, they're pulling in dependencies from all over. NPM is.
Okay, so I use Brave, and then I have all these like extensions on here where I have these different wallets that I use, like Phantom or MetaMask, and so would that be vulnerable to something like this?
Each one you'd have to look on a case-by-case basis, and a lot of this has to do with how the security practices of the developers. So depending on how fast and loose they are with updates, affects how likely this is to affect a particular project. You have to look at each situation specifically. Look at provider's website or Twitter for updates. This could touch anything.
Okay. What do I do right now? Am I vulnerable?
So if you don't make any transactions, it doesn't affect you because this is what's called an address poisoning attack. So basically what it does is that you think you're sending money to whoever it is. The malware swaps out that address with another address that looks similar. They're looking for things that look similar. They have the attacker address, which says if you send money to it, you're sending money to the hacker.
Right.
But then they look for the attacker has tons and tons of addresses, and they're looking for the one that looks the most similar to the one that you're trying to send to.
Swap it in.
And so then if you're not looking at every letter,
right,
then you could just send to the wrong one.
And that's where this Java thing comes in, is that it's like
JavaScript,
this JavaScript comes in and kind of swaps in the hacker's address.
That's right, and it could happen at any layer. If you really get to software engineering, there's so many layers of software you're dealing with. Like you receive a text message from your friend. That piece of information your friend was trying to send you, let's say they text you their address, it touched so many pieces of software on its way from that person to you. On their device, multiple layers touched it. It goes through the internet. There's also intermediaries on the internet that could have altered it. And then you have, on the recipient side, your device shows it to you and is passing through multiple pieces of software. Anywhere between that person and you, it could have been altered. And it would be hard to detect unless you looked at every letter and compared it with the source of truth that the original sender had.
Right.
Assuming their source of truth was accurate. I mean, it's
because it can happen on their side.
That's right. It can happen on their side.
They send you the bad one, or I send to the wrong one.
That's right.
Both ways. All right, so what if I need to send a transaction today?
The most important thing you can do is double check the address with your friend. And a lot of people do this test transaction thing, which is a good idea, but it's not enough by itself. So let's say I send, before I send $100, let me send $2.
Right.
Okay, cool. But the thing is, the attacker, there's smart malware will actually forward the test address,
right,
but then not forward the full address.
Right.
So what you need to do is when you send the test transaction, you check with your friend or the recipient on the phone. You get and say, hey, how much did I send and which address did I send it from?
Okay.
Because that's what you're checking. You want to see, did it come from your address or did it come from some other address that forwarded it?
Got it.
This is annoying,
Yeah.
but actually this is what you should be doing before any large transaction in crypto, period. Doesn't matter whether this was a recent NPM attack or not. Many people get lazy. They don't check the whole address, or they don't check that the test transaction actually came from who they thought it came from. And you can lose a lot of money very quickly like that.
All right, so basically slow down, send a test transaction, verify that it came from the address that you actually sent it from. So you really need to be verifying on basically phone calls, because even the text messages could be poisoned attacks.
That's right. I think right now, malware with AI, you can imitate someone's voice, but it's a pretty high bar to have something that dynamically alters your voice in the middle of a phone call. I think we're not there just yet.
Okay.
But yeah, you should check both the recipient and the sender addresses, every letter of it, with the person that you're doing a transaction with. And yeah, is that annoying and slow? Yes, it is.
And so this attack literally affects all chains, because these wallets that could be affected by JavaScript could be using Bitcoin, they could be using Ethereum, Sui, Solana, any of the major chains.
That's right. If you look at this malware here on my screen, like they have Bitcoin Cash addresses, they have Tron addresses, they have Ethereum addresses, they have Bitcoin addresses, and it's a wide variety. So it's highly likely that one of them will look similar to yours.
All right, different question. So is this like one person? Is this a group of people? Who are these people? And can we find them? Is there like authority? Where is the internet police?
Right, you want to call the internet police?
Yeah. I mean, who are these assholes just stealing from people? I mean,
it's it could be anywhere from like a lone attacker to a state. It could be a government doing it. Governments spend a ton of money building teams that can do this sort of thing. It's also mafias in the middle. They're not quite governments yet, but they're sophisticated enough to get organized with cybersecurity. And then also sometimes you just have some guy with a fucked up psychology who just decides he wants to use his technical skills to steal money from people.
Right.
In this specific case, I don't know. The details might come out later. In general, it's pretty hard to do reliable forensics on this stuff, because it's the internet, everything's connected.
I don't know. I feel like you should be able to figure this out. I feel like people should be. I feel like, is there a bounty? I'm sure there's white hackers who want to figure this out and expose this guy, right?
Yeah, but I mean, there's billions in crypto that have been stolen. The reason it keeps happening is because it's pretty hard to catch them. I mean, it's like you're talking about, it's internet money, right? So they could easily be in a jurisdiction that's different than yours. So then, okay, the money went to, I don't know, Canada. I don't live in Canada. I don't know anyone in Canada. Okay, how do I get the authorities in Canada to go, oh, wait, it actually didn't go to Canada. That was just a proxy. Oh, okay, actually, it went over to, I don't know, Azerbaijan. Okay, now I got to communicate with the Azerbaijan police, who are going to definitely take my case super seriously, because they really care about me. This is a problem. We have to, if you're going to use the internet to do business, to transact, we need to be responsible for our own security, and and obviously there are tools that can help us make that easier. You don't have to be a cybersecurity expert to do this stuff, but also it's up to engineers, people who build products, to really cover the last mile. You shouldn't have to be an expert to use crypto, and I think this is one of the things we're building in our chain, Quantus, is one, check phrases, so that it's a human readable version of the address. And if the address is even a little bit different, all 5 words change. So then it becomes very easy to just call your friend up and say 5 words, right? It's like, and then you get to hear your friend's voice, and it kind of brightens your day, instead of like, okay, let me read every single letter. Oh no, I messed one up. Oh wait, but what if this one's capital? I have to say capital. It's capital D, not lowercase d. It's just like, it's such a pain in the ass to do these things. And so a check phrase gives you not as much security as the full address. You should still read the full address if you're sending a large amount of money. But the check phrase gives you a lot of cushion.
Right.
And it's also something you can just remember. So then if you reuse an address, then you'd be like, wait a second, that's different. And you don't even have to intentionally memorize it if you're just exposed to words, because sometimes they make like a funny sentence, and
it's
so
easy to remember 5 words.
It's a mnemonic. It's an actual mnemonic where you can remember 5 words. So that's one way we can reduce this for our users. But another way is we have reversible transactions. This means a lot of different things to people, but the basic building block is that there's a time period during which a transaction can be reversed. The reverser could be the sender, or it could be some trusted third party that the sender chooses. So the idea being that, when you send money in fiat land, they have reversibility built in. So for example, if you pay for something with a credit card, someone steals your credit card number, you can call the credit card issuer and be like, hey, that wasn't my transaction. Please reverse it. That's fraud.
Right.
And they close your credit card. It's like a $10 billion industry for like preventing, detecting, reversing credit card fraud.
Right.
And it really is downstream of the fact that you put a secret number on the credit card and that everyone passes the secret number around. I mean, it's like we have asymmetric cryptography. We don't need to do that anymore. So this reversibility is something actually that people generally depend on and expect. And in some cases, it doesn't work in the fiat world too. You know, like if you send an international bank transfer, it's pretty hard to reverse it. But you send it between banks in your own country, it's a little bit easier if you catch it soon enough. We can make this system easier for people to use. And so like imagine, for example, let's say there was this Bybit hack this past year.
Yep.
And it was like $1 billion went out from their multi-sig, right? So the multi-signature account is supposed to be like the highest security account you can get. You have multiple keys, they're all on hardware wallets, and they're using this interface to sign a transaction and send it out. Enough of them got infected with malware. It was a very advanced attack. I mean, this is, must have required, months and months of like a whole team of highly trained hackers. But anyway, they managed to make an unauthorized transaction from their cold wallet in the amount of $1 billion. If they had been using a reversible transaction system, they could have had a mandatory wait period on that. 72 hours has to pass before this transaction clears. And you don't do that for every wallet. This is for the vault where it's
large billion
$1 billion. If you're going to put $1 billion in there, then maybe you should like wait 2 days before the thing finishes.
Right.
So then, so if they've been using this, they could have looked and said,
they get a notification. It's like, oh, there's a $100 million transfer going out from our $1 billion account.
Right, and we did not intend that. That's unauthorized. Okay, go get the other keys that are we have in the vault and pull it back, right? So it lets you have this sort of composable security system where you can, you have certain accounts are higher security and you can balance this security and convenience trade-off much better.
Well, and I like this. You mentioned this the other day, is that like, okay, the early days of crypto were really powerful because now we're decentralized. And I can send you $1 million. I can send you $10 million. I can send you $100 million. I don't need to ask anyone's permission. I can just do that immediately. And like you mentioned with credit cards, I had a bit of a layer of protection there, right? So if somebody got my credit card number, I could reverse that. And so now crypto is maturing and we're getting to the point where we have this decentralization. But then if I want to centralize that, I can give that centralization power to a trusted third party, right? So the whole crypto thing is no trusted third parties, which is great. But now it's evolved. We're in the next generation of what crypto can be. And we have to look at this as like, okay, fiat did have some good features. But now I can be the assigner. I can say, I want to assign my multi-sig. I want to assign my son, or I want to give this to my law firm or whoever that trusted third party might be. But now I'm in control.
That's right. It's a market-based approach because, if you can choose your trusted third party, now the trusted third parties have to compete. And that means you're going to get better trusted third parties. Instead of being locked in, like the bank is the only trusted third party, in fiat world. And naturally, they end up abusing this power. I mean, like, in Europe, if you want to send like 1,000 euros, you suddenly have to like fill out a form and let them stick a probe up your ass to see like what exactly is this transaction for. And it's all this like, it's very, it's invasive, and it's the sort of thing that you wouldn't get if they didn't have a monopoly on it. That's what we're doing. If you want to trust the bank, that's fine. You want to trust your son, your father, your grandpa, the law firm, whoever it is, you get to pick who your policeman is.
That's right.
This is how we onboard the next billion users into crypto. Crypto is still very difficult to use. People have not really been focusing, in my opinion, on UX. It's been the same pile of money sloshing around to all the different chains and consuming all the goodies and it's the same highly technical users who are generally adopting all these early technologies.
So if credit cards are going to start coming online with crypto, probably through some form of a stable coin, they're going to need some kind of system like this.
Reversibility enables you to slot into this existing system, and then they can still maintain some kind of important role, right? Because I don't know if you saw, but the banks are quite upset about this Genius Act because they just realized they got cut out. All this money is going to flow into stable coins. And so you shouldn't be able to get interest on stable coins. Like, sorry guys, but the time to figure that out was before the act passed. This is the new financial system, and yeah, look, I saw this article that Russia is claiming that the U.S. is trying to make basically get rid of their debt by moving into stable coins. And I think that's true. Every few decades, they have to sort of change the shell game so that they can keep the thing going, and stablecoins are the new version. So yeah, this is an opportunity to make the system better. Since we're changing it, let's use this opportunity to make it more fair, less abusive. And no, your money should belong to you. That's the whole idea of private property. Like if you have to ask the bank's permission to send money, the money doesn't really belong to you. It belongs to the bank, and they're just letting you borrow it.
Yeah.
And this is too much power for one entity to have, in my opinion. It's just going to turn into abuse.
Right. Well, like they say, with great power comes great responsibility. So as we evolve and grow in the world of crypto, that the user starts to take that responsibility into their own hands.
Yeah, this is what in the early days of crypto they were saying: be your own bank. Bitcoin lets you be your own bank, and that's a lot of responsibility. It's scary to a lot of people. I don't know how to run a bank. I don't, like getting grandma to use a credit card was difficult, So everybody has a certain, their own sort of willingness and skill level to deal with these things. Really, the more responsibility you take for your money, the more power you have. And so if you feel like your life is not going the way you want, or you feel like the system's unfair and you're getting screwed, well, you could sit around and complain about it and just act like a loser, or try to vote for some fake ass politician who's gonna, steal things for you. Really, you want more power? Take more responsibility for your life. Learn more about the systems you're using that govern your behavior all day long. Learn about the technology that you're using. This is what crypto was about in the beginning, and we need to make it about it again.